So, assuming that we did lose much of this Barakah effect culture in the Muslim world, and I believe we did. I think we lost it overall as humanity because even when you look at how Hollywood portrays the British and the Pilgrims when they were first here, they used to make dua, and actually it was a very beautiful dua, even though it was a
Mm,
Christian dua, before every ship would leave. Every ship would set sail and come back,
mm,
right? Even the West used to pray every day, multiple times a day. They would pray before they ate. Actually, Muslims even lost that sunnah of praying before they eat. So just the overall rituals of humanity have decreased, and
mm,
therefore, objectively, the barakah has decreased as well. Uh, how did we lose that barakah?
mm. Yeah, there's a micro perspective and a macro perspective, and on an individual level, like we said, most of us have detached ourselves with this idea of I'm a abd of Allah, I'm a slave of God, and it's about me, myself, and I, and we build our lives around that, right? Think about what's our biggest dream. Most of us, alhamdulillah, get a job, get a house, get married, maybe go to Hajj towards the end of our life, versus like really like being aware, like I'm a abd of Allah. The moment I wake up, I sleep, I go to school, college, like I'm always conscious of that identity, right? We lost even our identity. We kind of lost that sense of who are we? Who are you? So that's one on an individual level. And on a social level, right? There's a lot of things on a macro level. I will say there's 5 pillars of hustle culture. There is individualism, and not the healthy kind, but the extreme individualism, right? Like especially now in modern day, where you can actually cater for your personal needs how you want. You go for a coffee shop and you want extra frappe with oat milk, and everyone's tailoring themselves. Like everyone's trying to serve their nafs, serve their ego. There's extreme individuality, right? Very extreme individuality. One of the things that sometimes hurts me, you go to Mecca and Umrah, see a lot of people, they go around the Kaaba doing like selfies the whole way. I'm like, come on, like, this is a moment for you to be kind of immersed to the crowd versus kind of filming yourself doing Umrah. Again, I don't want to put people on the spot, but I feel like that's something's lost there, right? This idea of like, look at me, the selfie culture, it's about myself, I. It's interesting. I was doing some research on Salah, and it's interesting when you do sujood or when you're in prayer, there's a part of your brain that is about you, the one is this sense of self, it decreases. It's almost like you immerse yourself, right? You become less about yourself and you become connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So there's something about, even Salah teaches us the idea, like it's not about you. It's not about you. So that's one, individualism. Second one, again, capitalism and consumerism, right? The idea, the way the system is set up. People think, Hamid, I want to experience better culture, but I got bills to pay. I got a mortgage, I got a house, I got kids need to go to school, and I feel like trapped. I don't want to be part of hustle culture, but I feel trapped. What do I do? You tell how do I achieve barakah if I'm stuck in this rat race? And I feel like we've kind of created these sort of almost like the golden handcuffs or the traps. It's so hard to exit it. It feels like, and almost like again, this entire system is set up. If you compare your own life to your, let's say, grandparents' life, and you see how we've set up this whole kind of, you got the house, you got this, you got this, you got that, and now you have to be part of hustle culture. If you're not part of hustle culture, you literally won't survive. You will struggle.
All of us, at least personally, at least I feel it. I feel stuck and imprisoned in the consumerism. How do you break out of that? How do you get out of those golden handcuffs?
That's a great question. I think, again, it's one of those things where you almost have to make a decision. Who am I? And this is also, it's not even your own personal decision, it's almost like a family decision. Your spouse, your kids, all be like, hey, who are we as a family? What's important to us? And what sacrifices are we willing to make, right? Sometimes it's not easy to make those sacrifices. Sometimes it's not even possible, but sometimes it is possible. I think sometimes we kind of fall into the idea of, I call the idea of ads, right? The idea of like saying, I can't do anything about it. There's nothing I can do about it. We're saying, okay, is there something I can do? Even show Allah that the intention, I have the intention to not be trapped in this. I have the intention to, whether again, I'm not advising people to quit their job today and khalas, barakah culture, to quit their job. But being intentional, there's something off here about my life that's not aligned with how Allah wants me to live my life. I had one person attend we do retreats once in a while, and she was saying, I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning to attend a conference call, but I cannot wake up 5 o'clock in the morning to pray Fajr, right? It's again, hustle culture consumed you so much that it becomes like she said, I almost feel like I sold my soul to the hustle culture
So
environment.
do you think 9 to 5s are anti, living a Muslim lifestyle?
Again, sometimes generalizations, blanket statements, very, oh, yes, it is, where it becomes like a clickbait. It depends, right? Depends what are you doing? What are you working on? How are you able to align that life with your responsibility as abd of Allah? Again, I'm not saying work is bad. People think, oh, work, Barakah culture is about Barakah, it's okay, relax, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for you. No, I'll say Barakah culture is hard work. But it is always being conscious. How can I design my work is part of my life versus my work is my life? That's why there's an idea called workism. This idea we've made work a new religion, right? We sell our values, our mindsets, our rituals are aligned, we're attached to work. So for some people, if you take away their work, it's like they lose their identity. They don't know who they are anymore. They don't know who am I? You forget you're abd of Allah, first and foremost. Yes, work. Yes, earn halal income. But when that becomes your obsession, where it becomes, this is the only way that I can live, this is the only way that I can survive this world, and there's no other way. Sometimes we kind of put ourselves in a little trap. Now, also depends where you are. And sometimes that's why I'm very conscious not saying general statements. But I can give you different models. Model A, you have a 9 to 5, but you're able to, within the 9 to 5, to be aligned with Barakah culture by aligning with the prayer times, the values, the mindsets, how you behave, how you act at work. You are able to align with Barakah culture, the mindsets, how you discuss in team meetings, how you deal with projects, how you tackle things. You're able to. That's one model. Another person, they just can't fit. They're not able to. Even it's a very toxic culture. In fact, they know that they're almost losing their iman as a result of being that toxic culture. That's what they have to think. Can I switch teams, switch companies, switch something? But this is just not aligned. Versus, oh, well, what to do? I've got bills to pay. There's nothing I can do about it. And then for others people, if they're able to, and they sort of quote unquote brave, is when you think, actually, you know what? I got to have that self-sufficiency, that independence. I actually recommend people, even if you have a 9 to 5, have a side hustle. Have something on the side, because there's something about being able to earn your own living without being dependent on a paycheck that gives you the dignity and gives you the ability. No thanks, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna lower myself and humiliate myself for the sake of hustle culture and work. I know my values, so I feel like sometimes I recommend people, even if you have a 9 to 5, even if I know you have something on the side, learn a skill, right? Learn whether it's, I don't know, writing a book, podcast, AI, whatever you want to do, is learn something. Have this idea of trade, right? They say 9/10 of rizq is in trade. Learn the idea of buying and selling, product or service. That can be very powerful for sure.
And I like that you said that at the end, because I was about to say that the Prophet ﷺ said that one of the most, the best of the best of employment to have is to be a businessman, right? Trade. What's the hadith?
It's 9/10 19 رزق في التجارة. 9/10 of risk is in tijara, in trade. But again, I think sometimes we have to remember this idea of corporations and career ladders. It's a very modern thing. If you look at, for example, compare yourself to our grandparents or great grandparents, most were either in some kind of a service, right? Where they offer you a service, or they have sort of a craft or skill or a sort of work that they were doing that they're earning a living from it, and most are earning it with their hands. Nowadays, most of us, we kind of earn with our brain. We sit, we think, we use our hands in typing. And this idea of corporations, career ladders, and of course all the different career games and the corporate culture stuff, and you do this thing, get bonus points, you get promoted, and all the envy and the politicking and the entire culture we've created around that, almost like that maze we've created. And no one's stepping back saying, wait a second, do I really want to be part of this? Is this Allah me abd of Allah? And sometimes it's about questioning that, right? And I know this might sound, make you feel very uncomfortable. I hear some people, Muhammad, yes, I know what you're saying, I know what you're trying to say, but I feel stuck. I'm like, I understand. Again, we all have responsibilities. But even if you just, again, back to the equation, set your intention. Take the means, learn a trade, look at different options for career, develop a skill, ask Allah for support, and leave the outcome, right? Don't feel, I got to quit my job today. Sometimes just by setting intentions, He will show you a way. He will show you beyond expectations. But at least have that intention of saying, you know what, this current hustle culture, golden handcuffs trap is just not helping me.
And I think one of the best ways to get away from that is to find your purpose and passion and meaning in life. How do you find your destiny and what you're created for through the Barakah effect?
Yeah, there's a beautiful hadith says, "اعملوا فكلكم يسر ما خلق له." Like, work, all will be made easy what you've been created for, right? And I will say that I'm not a big fan of like visions and 5-year plans and 10-year plans. I feel like, those are, you don't know what the future holds.
I agree with you about 5-year plans and 10-year plans, but I disagree about vision. Vision is very important.
So instead of vision, use intention, the why, right? Why do I say that? Again, you want to detach from the outcome. If I have a vision in mind, what is that? That is an image of success that I'm essentially worshiping. And I'm saying I'm working towards that. Versus what's the intention? I'll give you an example.
Interesting.
So the idea of vision is almost like, it's imagine, again, I don't know if you want to use like parallel universes here, but the idea is like you might have multiple ways. Allah Ta'ala has written multiple ways for you to be successful, achieve certain things. But you attach one thing. This is how I'm going to do. This is how I want to be successful. But there might be other ways. So which is better? The one you choose, the one Allah chooses for you. So when Allah chooses for you. So what does that mean? It means, what's the intention? If it's for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, He'll guide you. I will say to people, I never had a vision of writing books or vision of starting a productive Muslim company. I will follow the breadcrumbs. I woke up in the morning, I started blogging. Next thing I know, people started following me on Facebook and I get invited to workshops. Okay, I guess I'm doing workshops now. I started doing workshops. After a while, I meet my publisher in a conference. He goes, oh yeah, send book proposal. Next thing I got a book come out. Next thing I know, it was like, I'll go follow the breadcrumbs. It was not like some vision I had in 20 years ago that this is what I want to be in 20 years time, right? It's more about what's the why. And that why is something helpful because sometimes we lose track when I'm off track, when I'm struggling, when I'm thinking, what's the point of all this? I just give up on this. What's the niyyah? The niyyah kind of brings you back.
Intention.
What's the intention?
So how does one create a high form intention?
Called the high himma intention. So high himma intention is God-centered. So again, back to the idea of instead of what's in it for me, to what does Allah want from me? That's got the high himma intention. So I know a lot of we groomed to think of what's in it for me. I used to have a debate with my economics teacher because he used to say there's no such thing as free lunch. I'm like, yes, there is. Because I would believe you can do things for Allah Ta'ala, right? Not just for yourself. But in a very sort of secular mindset, the idea, why you do things not for yourself? You always do things for yourself. Going from what's in it for me to what does Allah want from me, right? That's number one. Number two is akhirah focused. How will this impact me in the akhirah? And again, sometimes we forget that we're here for 30, 40, 60, 100 years and then eternity, right? So do I really want to spend a lot of time trying to build something here just for this world or want to build something that actually will help me in the akhirah? So akhirah focused. Third, back to your point about align to your skills, align to what you've been created for. Now, how do you know that? Back to your question is, let me try, experiment. Again, I never knew I could write books. I never knew I could do workshops. But sometimes you stumble upon things. You try things. Oh, actually, I'm not good. Perhaps for your podcast, you started 1 or 2, subhanAllah, you see barakah, you see ease. When you find yourself, sometimes, for some people, doing a podcast, oh my God, I'm not going to do a podcast, too much work. For some else, I love doing podcasts. Someone else writing books, forget it, not writing books. Others, I love writing books. So everyone has something that's been created for, what they find easy. But you've got to experiment, you've got to try a few things. So God-centered, akhirah focused, align with the skills that Allah has given you, sort of has social impact. So it has impact beyond yourself. Again, not just me, myself, and I. Again, what I get of it. But this actually benefits others. That's what we call high himma intention. An intention that becomes almost like the life purpose that everything else revolves around. And that includes where do you live, how do you earn money, where do you work, how you, everything around that life purpose drives you. That life purpose becomes a thing that becomes, the high himma intention becomes, again, your compass throughout your life.